Need some coins or MT for that God Squad you've always wanted? For fast and cheap currency, make sure to check out MMOEXP.com and use code ZERK for 5% off your order.
The whole thing wobbin', wobbin'. When I come around, got the whole thing wobbin'.
What's going on, guys? It's Zirksee coming at you today with another Madden Ultimate Team video, and today I'm going to be going over my Madden 23 Ultimate Team Core Elite Outside Linebacker predictions. Now, I do want to give a shout out to Sergio for being a part of the Noti Gang. If you guys want a chance to be shout out in the next video, drop a like in the vid, make sure you guys are subbed to the channel, turn the notification bell on, and comment down below Noti Gang. And if you guys want to check out Underdog Fantasy, you can use code ZERK to match first deposit up to $100 and follow me over on Twitter for my picks. And if you have not already checked out the giveaway that I'm currently running over on Twitter, I am giving away 5 all Madden editions of Madden 23. So those links will be at the top of the comment section. As I said, guys, I am doing my outside linebackers. Now, whenever I combine positions like with outside linebackers, I tend to do like top 10, right? Or just in general with some of these, I've been doing just the top 10 ones because when you get down to like the 80 overalls, 81s, it's a little bit harder. So I am only going to be doing the top 10 outside linebackers. So left outside linebackers and right outside linebackers. Middle linebacker is actually going to be its own separate video, which I think that one's probably going to be the next video that you guys see. But as you can see in Madden 22, we had Khalil Mack and TJ Watt at 87s, no 86 overalls. We had a couple 84s, 83s, 82s, all the way down to 80s. And I think we had about, I want to say, what is this, like 17 or so? Maybe a little bit more than that. I think about actually 18 right outside linebackers and left side linebackers. Now, with outside linebackers, it's a little bit more difficult to kind of rank them because we're talking about pass rushers and coverage guys. So I tried my best. Let's get into it. Of course, since this is the top 10, that means that they're not going to start at 80 overall. So my top 10 guys, the lowest overall is an 83, starting with Matthew Judon. However, I do want to put 2 honorable mentions here because I feel like there are maybe even 3 actually here that could also be 83 overalls. Bradley Chubb potentially could drop to an 83, but Harold Landry and Anthony Barr, both of those guys, I also feel like could be 83 overall, so I do just want to kind of throw them in here before we get into this. But Matthew Judon had a really great season. Obviously, so Patriots fans, I know you guys loved Judon this year. He had 60 total tackles, a career-high 12.5 sacks as well. So Matthew Judon, really good season. I think he gets 83. I feel like Jordan Brooks is kind of an underrated player because you don't really see a lot of people ever talking about him, but he actually led the NFL this season in solo tackles with 109, and he had 184. Yes, 184 total tackles with 1 sack and a fumble recovery as well. No interceptions, but just a tackle machine. And I feel like if you lead the league in tackles, you should probably get some sort of a decent card. He's definitely going to be an elite, but I think he's going to be like 83. Now, jumping from 83 overalls up to a little bit higher here, we have Von Miller. Now, Von Miller last season had a combined 9.5 sacks, which is actually up from the previous season of only 8 there. Now, his tackles, he also had 50 tackles, up from 46, given he played the exact same amount of games. 15 games this season, 15 games last season. Forced fumbles, he had 1, whereas last year he didn't have any there. So if anything, he had a slightly up year. I don't see them giving Von Miller an 86 overall, though. I think Von Miller is going to stay exactly at 85. Now, if I recall correctly, I believe this may be the biggest, or at least one of the biggest jumps that I have in this entire list, and that is Robert Quinn. I think he actually is the player that I have pinned here to get the highest jump. Robert Quinn had a 76 overall this year, and last year, you know, he had a bad year. He had 2 sacks, and he only had 20 total tackles, but this year, he was second in the NFL in sacks with 18.5, a career high by far, and 49 total tackles, 4 forced fumbles as well. He was just an absolute monster. So Robert Quinn, because he is only a 76, honestly, if someone with a bigger name that had a higher overall put up these numbers, they might be even higher, like 86, 87. But Robert Quinn, I think is going to get a good jump up to an 85 Maybe he is 86. We'll see. And of course, my guy, Micah Parsons, started off this year at 77. They have him at the beginning of the year anyways at a middle linebacker, but he is, of course, an outside linebacker, and he was a monster. Won Defensive Rookie of the Year. Honestly, was in contention for Defensive Player of the Year. Could have potentially won that, but he did have 84 total tackles, 13 sacks, and 3 forced fumbles. Yeah, Micah Parsons is just a stud. Now, of course, when someone is a rookie and they have a good season, EA doesn't always tend to make them the highest overall, because I thought about that when doing this. Because although Micah had a crazy season and he is extremely versatile as well, I don't think he's going to be any higher than an 85. But I think he will be an 85. And of course, one of the best pass rushers, really, of the last couple of years here, we have Chandler Jones, who is now a Raider, but he did play 15 games this season. He had 41 total tackles, 10.5 sacks, but here's something that's really big. 6 forced fumbles. That is pretty crazy right there, with 1 fumble recovery as well. So I do think that Chandler Jones is actually going to get a little bump from an 84 up to an 85. And Joey Bosa, who is again one of the best pass rushers of recent years, had an 84 overall coming into Madden 22. In that year, he had 7.5 sacks and 39 total tackles with 0 forced fumbles. Well, this season, Bosa had a crazy year. He had 51 total tackles, also had 10.5 sacks, and a career-high 7 forced fumbles. That is really what I think is going to affect his overall quite a bit. So Joey Bosa, I think, is going to go from an 84 to a nice bump up, 86. Now, speaking of Chargers outside linebackers, we have Khalil Mack. Now, Khalil Mack is, of course, like I just said, a Charger now, and unfortunately so for the Bears this previous season. He only played 7 games. Now, in the 7 games, though, he did have 6 sacks, so he's actually on pace to have a really good season. And then he had 19 total tackles, no forced fumbles for the first time in his career, but he did have a fumble recovery. And I think that Khalil Mack, because he only played in 7 games and, his stats were a little bit worse, I think he is going to get down to an 86 from an 87. Like I said, he was actually on pace for a really good season, but you kind of have to factor in that he got hurt and everything, so I have him coming down to 86. And joining him at an 86 overall, I think, is going to be Darius Leonard. Darius Leonard came into this year to 83 overall in a season where he had 132 total tackles, 3 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, and no interceptions, okay? Now, this season, he had 122 total tackles, so 10 less tackles, and he had 0 sacks for the first time in his career. So he did, go down 3 sacks to 0. However, he made up for it by far by adding on a career-high 8 forced fumbles, up from 3 the year prior, and last year he had 0 interceptions. This year, 4 interceptions. So 5 more forced fumbles and 4 more interceptions. Yeah, I think Darius Leonard is going to get a nice upgrade up to an 86. And still, the highest overall outside linebacker, and 100% he should be the highest overall outside linebacker by far in Madden 23, will be TJ Watt, Defensive Player of the Year, 22.5 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, and 48 solo tackles, 64 total. And did I mention that he did that in only 15 games? So yes, TJ Watt absolutely will be the highest overall outside linebacker in Madden 23, but I have him going from an 87 up to an 88. I think TJ Watt is very deserving to be in that exclusive 88 overall club to start off Madden 23 after the season that he just had. Without a doubt, he will be an 88 overall. And if he's not, then there's something wrong with that, because there's just no way he should not be an 88 overall. So TJ Watt should be an 88. Let me know down below what you guys think about the rest of my list. You'll notice I didn't have any other outside linebackers at even 87 overall. I feel like TJ Watt was by far the best at 88, and everybody else had really good seasons. Maybe they will slide somebody into 87 role. Maybe they will. I guess they could put like Darius Leonard at 87 if they wanted to do that one. They could, or maybe just keep Khalil Mack at 87 if they're not going to factor in the injury and all of that. But with that being said, hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. See you guys next time.